Hey everyone, welcome back to the Movie Couple channel. I'm Wendy and here is my review for The Watchers. Mina, a 28-year-old artist who gets stranded in an expansive, untouched forest in Western Ireland. When Mina finds shelter, she unknowingly becomes trapped alongside three strangers that are watched and stalked by mysterious creatures each night. Having seen the trailer for this movie, I was actually pretty intrigued because this is also an adaptation by the novel by A.M. Shine of the same name. This film also serves as Ishana Shyamalan's directorial debut, I believe. I do find it really interesting that, although it's not unexpected, that she also kind of follows her father's footstep in directing horror/thriller films. And I think it's interesting that this is the one that she I guess is making her directorial debut with, because I don't think it's easy to do any sort of like book to screen adaptation. There's just always so much you can expand on when it comes to books and writing, and sometimes it doesn't always translate to film. And I think for me, that was kind of the case with this movie. So first off, the story is set in Ireland. The scenery and the cinematography is very pretty, very expansive. It's mostly takes place in a forest, mostly at night. A lot of the scenes are shot really, really well. Now let's talk story and direction. So this movie, like I mentioned earlier, takes place mostly in the forest. You saw the trailer, you know that there's some beings, someone very sinister in the forest. It's giving one of those, once you get in, you can't get out. And I do like that at the very top of the movie, they establish that. They don't use that with any of the main characters per se, but they kind of, give you an idea of what the main characters will be facing in this film, which is pretty terrifying, especially with like the sound that they make. It makes me really feel uncomfortable, and I like that. I look for that in horror thriller films, things that make me feel a little tense, a little uncomfortable. Then we get into the first act of the film, which really follows Mina as why she is traveling with the bird. They explain all of this in the film, and why she essentially crosses her way into this forest that no one seems to be able to get out of. Now, I would say the pacing of the movie is pretty uneven throughout, and I think I understand what they're trying to do. They raise the tension and then they kind of back off of it so you as the audience can have a little bit of room to breathe, and then they bring it back up. In some cases it does work in this movie, but I feel like more often than not it doesn't work. It just feels really uneven, and it makes you feel like the movie doesn't know which direction it wants to take you. Does it want to scare you, or does it want to tell you the story, which now is focusing on who and what is in the forest? Why are they watching these people? And I feel like the book would have delved into this a little bit more. I haven't read the book yet. I do have it downloaded, just haven't had a chance to get to it, so I will read it. But I feel like for the film, it never really dove deep enough to either any of the characters, with maybe the exception of Mina, and then also the lore of the Watchers. Who are they? What do they do? And why do they watch you? I feel like they get just far into both subjects, but they never fully realize it. They never fully develop it. And I feel like for me as an audience, I was never fully satisfied with either side of things. The performances are really, really good, but I felt like I knew that going in. I'm a fan of Georgina Campbella. I like Dakota Fanning. I think everybody were on their A game as far as delivering, like the tension. And of course, when you are stuck in a forest that you can't get out of, and these beings, you don't even know what they look like, what they're doing. All you know that is you are essentially trapped in a concrete box, and they are watching you, and they clap, and why are they watching you? And it's very intriguing to learn and see how our main characters, especially for Mina, who is new to the situation, how she deals with it, and how she reacts to the whole situation, and how she reacts to this group of people that she's found. And again, I was hoping that they could dive even deeper into, when people are in their survival mode, how they react in situations like this, like their social interactions. Are they trying to survive, and it's kind of like, I am just for myself, or, no, I want to survive as a group. We're in this together till the end. Again, I feel like they barely scratched the surface. Like, we just didn't get to dive deep enough into it. It was like the intention was there, but I feel like it wasn't as well executed as it could have been. I would also say that the thriller slash horror aspect of it kind of was really only present for me, at least, like the first half of the movie. The second half of the movie, it changes direction. It goes from talking about our group of, people who are being watched to it switches to like the lore of the Watchers, which is fine, but it feels like a very sudden directional switch. Like, okay, now we're done with the humans, now we're gonna talk about the Watchers. And then the thing that felt weird about it was that it became a little bit of it was too much of an exposition dump. It was too like we're just narrating through this rather than showing us through storytelling and performances. So in a way, I felt like I was listening to a lecture rather than being entertained. I would also say, as someone who have not read the book, the whole thing was pretty predictable. I predicted what I thought was going to be at the end, and it turned out I was right. I feel like for the most part, especially if, for those who haven't read the book, if you've watched enough horror movies, I think you're gonna be able to pick that up pretty quickly as well. So it was a bit of a bummer for me because I felt like it started really strong with the horror thriller element. I like that they, for the most part, hid what these Watchers look like and how they move. You see glimpses of them, and I think when you shroud things like that in a little bit of a mystery, you let the human brain do the work and do the scaring for you. So I like that aspect of it. The sound design for the Watchers are really, really good, because every time they made those like creaking sounds, whatever sounds that they make, a combination of things, it made me really feel uncomfortable and uneasy, and I like that in a horror film. But then I feel like once our 4 survivors got together, it essentially, the horror element was not as prominent as I was hoping it to be. And due to the uneven pacing, I felt like the movie, by the time it reached its ends, kind of lost steam for me. On top of that, I mentioned a little bit earlier about the predictability, a little bit formulaic, and I know this is, based on the novel of the same name. I want to read the novel so I can kind of compare my reading experience versus my experience watching the film. Overall, I think this is a solid directorial debut for Ishana Shyamalan. I would like to see the story just explored a little bit deeper. Same thing goes for the characters. The uneven pacing, I feel like, ended up making the runtime, which is only an hour 42, felt actually longer than it actually was. So with that, I'm gonna go ahead and give my rating for the movie. The movie couple rating is listed for you in the video description below. For me, this movie is a stream it. And there you have it. That is my non-spoiler thoughts on The Watchers. Let me know what you think of the film once you've seen it in the comment section below. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.